Hi, this is Joel Johnson. Welcome to the Johnson Brunetti YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and also click on the bell. We want to make sure you get updated as we bring new valuable content to you. Today we're talking about a very, very important subject, which is taxes. Taxes in retirement. Can we reduce taxes? What's the biggest problem you have in retirement? Is it rate of return? No, it might be taxes. So we're going to have a whole conversation today based on taxes. And the first question I want to ask you is, do you think taxes are going up in the future? If you're aware at all, if you read any of the news, if you watch the news, you know that we have issues in this country, and the real issues are that people are living longer. Now, I'm talking about the real issues when it comes to retirement security. People are living longer. Back when Social Security was created, the average life expectancy was around 65, 66 years old. So think about that. You would get your Social Security check at 65, they'd have to pay you out for a year or two, and then you'd die, and that was it. Real easy to fund a system that only has to pay 2 years of retirement benefits. Well, now what's the average life expectancy? It's well into the 80s. For that person that hit 65, it won't be too long from now where that life expectancy creeps into the 90s. So now something like Social Security, and this also applies to pensions, to deferred compensation plans, anything like that that looks like a monthly retirement benefit. Now what we have is a situation where those retirement benefits have to be paid out for 15, 20, 25, maybe even 30 years. You need to put a lot more money aside to pay a benefit out for 30 years than you do to pay out for 2 years. And that's the real problem with things like Social Security and pensions. It's not that they were a bad idea. It's not that they haven't been funded. They were funded based on a much shorter life expectancy. And so taxes, all that to say, taxes are probably going to have to go up, or there's going to have to be some modification to just keep that one promise. There's other promises too that our government has made to us. Things like Medicare, disability payments to people that are disabled, collecting Social Security disability. Again, they're going to live longer. So all kinds of other areas where the government has made promises, because the largest percentage of voters is over 65, they're not going to offend or get people upset that are over 65. We all vote. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. So we all vote. And so there is going to be an issue with keeping those promises, and the money can only come from a few places, and it's probably going to come from taxes. So I say all that to say taxes are going to be a real issue in retirement. And so many times we have very intelligent people coming into our office to do retirement planning with us, and they want to focus on rate of return on investments. How can I get a little bit more rate of return on investments? How do I make sure my money doesn't go down when the market goes down? There's this almost obsession right off the bat with the investments. The investments are important, but many times we can reduce taxes, which is the same as getting a higher level of return. So we want to be aware that taxes will probably go up. What are some of the strategies? What are some of the things that we should be thinking of when it comes to planning for taxes in retirement? So let me come back to that issue about taxes going up. Let's say right now you're paying, let's just keep the math real simple, you're paying 20% of your income in taxes. So let's say you get $10,000 a month of gross income, and now you get to keep $8,000 a month of that gross income to pay in because you have to pay the 20% in taxes. So I'm grossing $10,000 from somewhere, it doesn't really matter where for the purposes of this example, and I'm keeping $8,000. If those taxes go from 20 to 25%, now I'm only keeping $7,500. If the taxes go up again, now maybe I'm only keeping $7,000, and at the same time, inflation's kicking in. And so our cost of living is going up while our spendable income is going down. So this is so critical, and I can't emphasize it enough. And I know I've been touching base on this for a long time, but we have got to plan for taxes going up in retirement. So there's a number of different strategies and things that we need to be thinking about. Let's talk about reducing taxes in retirement. How do we do that? Well, there's a few different ways, but the first is being aware that taxes are probably going up. And even if they don't go up, how can you pay less in taxes? Well, you've got Social Security. That gets taxed a certain way. You have Medicare, where your premiums on Medicare are based on what your disposable income is. You have probably a number of different accounts you can draw from in retirement. Social Security would be what I would call one account. Even though many people look at that as a stream of payments, that's one particular account. A pension might be another account. You might have a 401k. You might have savings in the bank. There are a number of different accounts that you can draw from. And one of the keys to reducing taxes on your retirement income is the order in which you draw from those accounts. For example, you might want to collect Social Security early so that you can leave your 401k or your retirement accounts alone. Now, that's not necessarily right or wrong for everybody. It depends on your situation, but that's just an example of some of the choices that you have to make sure, again, you're reducing those taxes in retirement. What are some of the other taxes you're going to pay in retirement? Property taxes. That's why people think about, where do I want to live in retirement? You might pay special city taxes. Like if you live in New York City, for instance, you actually pay an extra city income tax that's over and above the state income tax that New York has. What if you just moved out of the city? What if you moved from a place like Connecticut or Massachusetts, where I'm standing right now, down to Florida or Texas or the Carolinas or Tennessee? You reduce your taxes quite a bit there. So now it becomes, well, this is a give and take, right? To move away from my children, my grandchildren, to save money in taxes, does that make sense? So these are just such critical conversations. But how do we reduce taxes in retirement? The key is getting a good, solid financial plan that focuses on where your income is going to come from, and can you manipulate the order of those accounts where you take that income from to reduce your taxes. We're going to come back to that in just a minute, because I want to talk about kids and grandkids in just a moment. What are some of the other things? Well, let's anticipate some of the taxes. So for instance, here's a big one. This is huge, and most of you are aware of this. There comes a time in retirement, if you live long enough, when the government is going to force us to take money out of those retirement plans. Think about these retirement plans. You put money in while you were working. Many times we got a tax deduction to put the money in. The money grows and we don't have to pay any taxes on it as it grows. Well, there's always a cost to something. There's no free lunch, right? And in the case of retirement plans, now we have to pay taxes when we take the money out. So you might have put in $1 when you were 30. Now that dollar, when you're 73 years old, for instance, is worth $3, and you're going to pay tax on $3 as you take that money out in retirement. And you're going to be forced to do that. For most of us, it's going to be age 73. So age 73, let's say you get to retirement, you've been a great saver, and you don't need all the money you've saved. The big mistake a lot of people make is they just say, well, I'm just going to leave this money alone in my retirement plans. I'll spend everything else first. That may or may not be the right thing for you, because again, when you hit age 73, that money is going to be forced out. And for many of you, especially if you've saved enough money, let's say you're living on $10,000 a month, my previous example, and then all of a sudden at age 73, they force $60,000 over and above your needed income out of your retirement plan. And then the next year it's 65, and then the next year it's 70, because that percentage keeps going up every year that you get older. And so that's one of the biggest taxes to anticipate, is losing control of the way we take our money out in retirement. And again, for some people it makes sense to take that retirement plan early and maybe leave your brokerage accounts or your savings alone for longer. For some people it makes sense to do something we call a Roth conversion, where in return for paying taxes on the money today, all the growth is tax-free in the future, including leaving money behind. Again, a lot of choices here, but the idea is if you focus on and anticipate what the taxes will be in retirement, you can do much better planning. Again, mistake a lot of people make is they just go blindly into the future, not paying attention to the taxes, not paying attention to their different accounts, and the longer you wait, the fewer choices that you have. What else should we talk about? Well, how about taxes on Social Security? As almost all of you know at this point, Social Security is getting taxed. We can disagree with that. We can say, hey, I already paid taxes on the money, which technically you didn't, but we can say, I already paid taxes on the money, but doesn't matter how you feel about it, you're probably going to get taxed on your Social Security. Now, here's the key. Right now, the way Social Security is taxed is it's based on your other income. So if you have no other income than Social Security, you're probably not paying any taxes on your Social Security. If you have some other income, there's a formula, we won't go into that right now, but there's a formula, you might be paying taxes on 50% of your Social Security, and for some of you, you're paying taxes on 85% of your Social Security. That doesn't mean you're getting taxed 85%. It just means 85% of that Social Security check is being added to your income and being taxed like income. Why is this important? Well, think about this. I just said if my income is low, Social Security doesn't get taxed. My income is high, Social Security get taxed. So what if I could every other year have a lot of income, so my Social Security gets taxed in every other year, and it doesn't get taxed in every other year from that. So let's see, year one, I have a lot of income, Social Security gets taxed at the max. Year two, I reduce my income, and Social Security doesn't get taxed. How would I be able to do that? Well, what if I took 2 years of income out in year one, for instance, got whacked with Social Security taxes, but in year 2, I don't have to take any income out of my plans, my retirement plans, because I already satisfied that 2-year need. So think about it. It's almost like you plan for 2 years at a time instead of 1 year at a time. I know that got a little complicated there. I might have lost a few of you. That's okay. What I need you to hear here is by manipulating your income, you can reduce taxes on things like Social Security. Pensions are in the same boat, different types of pensions. And if you have a government pension or a railroad pension or a post office pension or a teacher's pension, those are also taxed differently. Some of you that are teachers, you don't get Social Security, and so you don't have to worry about the Social Security taxation, but you want to, again, treat your pension the same way. Is there a way to reduce taxes on that pension? Last but not least, let's talk about inheritance. So I'm 60 years old as I record this, and my kids are 32, 27, 25, and 23, all right? If I live to life expectancy, let's just say I'm going to live to 85, so my oldest is going to be 57 when I pass away. What are his peak earning years in life? Probably between 55 and 65. So if I leave him money, now we're not talking about my taxes, we're talking about taxes other people would have to pay, but if I leave Brandon, my oldest, money, and he's 57, he's going to be in his peak earning years. If I don't plan for that money, I could lose up to 50, 60, 70% of that money in taxes because it's going to get taxed at his rate, and if it's retirement money, it's going to get forced out very quickly to him. So we've got to talk about inheritance. How do I want to leave money to my kids, to my grandkids, or to charity if I don't need all the money that I've saved? And this is really, really crucial. And we told this to some clients, and they'll say, well, I put my kids through college, you know, they can pay the taxes on the money. Well, that's fine, but what if there was no cost in making sure that they had a little more control over those taxes when they inherit the money? So you might decide, let's just say we're all sitting here and everybody watching this is age 65. You might do a calculation and say, I've saved way more than I need. There's no way in the world, based on my current lifestyle, and even if I ramp up my lifestyle, that I'm going to spend all the money. And let's just say round numbers, you're going to leave $1 million to your children. What is the best way you can leave that so they have control over those taxes? And it probably means doing some planning today, maybe even paying some taxes on your part today. And you might say, well, I don't want to pay the taxes on my part, but maybe if you paid the taxes on your part, they would be left with more money, or you could leave something to charity. So these are all things we need to think about when we think about taxes and retirement. Again, going back to the beginning here, most people are so obsessed with getting a little bit better of a return on their investments, and they miss the boat when it comes to saving money in taxes. And many times it's easier to save money in taxes than it is getting a higher return on your investments. So at Johnson Brunetti, we want to make sure through this YouTube channel you're getting educated as much as possible. So whether you talk to us or other financial advisors and other tax professionals, you have some of the ammo, you have some of the questions, you have a basic outline of some of the things that should be applied to your situation. Again, thank you so much for watching this video today. I know it's been valuable to you because I'm hearing a lot of feedback from those that have watched our other videos. We want you to subscribe to this channel, click on the bell so that you get notified every time we come up with new content.